A solution to the state budget crisis might be on the horizon, and the city of Norman gets slammed with an open records lawsuit. We have a winner. The 2017 Nobel Peace Prize finds a home. This is OU Nightly. A solution to Oklahoma's $215 million budget deficit might be close. Almost 2 weeks after Governor Mary Fallin called the legislature into special session to find a way to close the budget gap, both Democrats and Republicans are now hinting they will compromise.
Democratic House Leader Scott Inman said via Twitter yesterday that Fallin came to him last week with a budget proposal. Inman said he's prepared to take Fallin's plan with no changes. Fallin is in talks with Republicans today about which has wins and losses for both sides of the aisle. The proposal, called the bipartisan plan, would enact a legal version of the $1.50 cigarette tax from last year, raise tax on gas by 6 cents a gallon, eliminate tax exemptions for the wind industry, and raise the gross production tax on gas and oil. Fallin is deliberating with Republicans now about the plan, which would generate about $560 million annually.
But what does that mean for the future? We have an OU economics professor with us in the building, along with Nightly's Aniq Zoha.
Thanks, Olivia. I'm here with OU professor Cynthia Rogers. She's an expert on state and local taxes, and today is sitting right next to me. Cynthia, tell me, what do you think about the bipartisan plan?
Well, I think it's a very good start. I think some people will like parts of it and some people won't like parts of it. But it definitely will raise more revenue that we need to fund our core services in the state.
All right, that's great, yeah. So what does this plan mean for the average Joe, and more specifically OU students?
So for the student who smokes cigarettes and drives a car
Right.
and uses some services, then they're going to pay more taxes.
Naturally, of course.
And then for the super wealthy students, or if their parents who are in the top income brackets, if that part goes through, they'll pay more in income taxes.
Right, of course. So do you think that there's anything missing from the plan, and where do you think they should go and look to fill the holes in the budget?
Well, I'm glad you asked that. So it's all about increasing revenues, but another way to increase revenues is to not give as much in the way of tax breaks. So I think the Incentive Evaluation Commission is looking at incentives and whether they're effective. And a big one to look at there is the capital gains tax deduction. That's been part of the discussions, but it didn't make it into this bipartisan plan.
Mm-hmm. Right. And in your opinion, do you think that this is a good option?
Well, I don't know what the option will end up being. So
right.
Again, I think there are some places that I would prefer they look at in addition to these sorts of things.
Right. This is just like other places to look around to fill these budget holes, because we have a huge budget problem in Oklahoma. Yeah.
I think the important thing is we have to have stable revenue sources.
Of course.
Not one-time money. And so cigarettes, if it actually works to get people to smoke less, then it's a declining source, right?
You know?
I don't think people will stop driving cars, and I think addressing the income tax, I think that will help and stabilize our revenues.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining us, Cynthia. It's been an honor having you here. Nicole, Olivia, back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Aniq. And it's a record-breaking day for the Oklahoma Department of Education. A $21 million federal grant is one of the largest in the agency's history. The money will be used to boost literacy programs in Oklahoma public schools.
And it's been looking beautiful outside lately, but we're wondering, are we going to have any more rain? Brian?
That's right, Olivia. You know, we did see a beautiful Friday across the area today. Taking a look at the satellite right now, we're just seeing a few high clouds streaming in from the southwest. But these are the last few dry hours we're going to see across the state of Oklahoma, as this low pressure system to our northwest will bring us our next chance of rain heading into tonight, bringing the chance of some severe weather as well. So coming up in main weather, I will outline the severe storm threat tonight, who's going to see it, and how much of severe weather we're going to see. But after this system does move through, we're expecting to see a beautiful weekend here across the Sooner State. And then after that, another strong cold front is in the works for us next week. But I'll have more of that coming up in main weather. But for now, back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you, Brian. Still ahead on OU Nightly, Norman gets slammed with an open records lawsuit.
Plus, an anti-nuclear weapons organization receives a massive honor. Stay with us. The 2017 Nobel Peace Prize goes to ICAN, the international campaign to abolish nuclear weapons. With the tense situation surrounding nuclear powers, North Korea and Iran, the Nobel Committee cited ICAN for its work to achieve a treaty-based prohibition of nuclear weaponry. The group responded saying it hopes the award sends a strong message about the nuclear threats. And nearly a week after the shooting in Las Vegas, an underlying motive is yet to be found. Kendall has more in the news center. Kendall?
There's still no known motive for Sunday night shooting rampage in Las Vegas. At a late-night news conference, Las Vegas police said it remains unclear what triggered Stephen Paddock to mow down 58 people, but they also have no other suspects at this time. 33,000 American jobs vanished partially as a result of Hurricanes Harvey and Irma. The September job report posted the first monthly loss in nearly 7 years. The decline is likely temporary as businesses close because of the storm. Jobs in construction, building materials, as well as insurance industries are expected to rise. The overall employment rate fell to 4.2%. That's the lowest jobless rate in 16 years. Bo Bergdahl is expected to plead guilty to desertion and misbehavior before the enemy. The Army sergeant is accused of leaving his post, resulting in his capture by the Taliban in 2009. He was held captive for 5 years. Now he faces up to 5 years in prison. Sentencing is scheduled for October 23rd. And finally, the Trump administration will allow more employers to opt out of providing no-cost birth control. That's a brief look at today's News Center headlines, Olivia.
Thank you, Kendall. A Main Street business owner is taking the city of Norman to task over public records. Dr. Bruce Remy is suing the city clerk Brenda Hall over violations to the Oklahoma Open Records Act. His attorney, Dr. Kevin Kemper, says in some requests to both the city and Norman PD, the documents did not match up.
They look to be altered. We don't know exactly why. That's why we want the truth finding of the court system to find out why and deal with it accordingly.
In 2015, Hall was sued by 2 Norman activists claiming she did not provide prompt and reasonable access to public documents. That case is still ongoing. The city attorney, Ricky Knight, was contacted but did not comment on the issue.
And Brahms withdraws its application to build a new store in Oklahoma City. Protesters opposed the demolition of the memories and good times that took place in the Don A building on Classen. After deliberation between Brahms representatives and protesters on the future of the lot, Brahms has decided not to scrap its plans. Residents are hoping to find a buyer of the property to restore the block.
And the American Bar Association thinks President Trump's latest federal district court nominee is unqualified. Charles Goodwin currently serves as a federal magistrate judge. The ABA reviews all judicial nominees and gives recommendations to the Senate Judiciary Committee. Recommendations are based on integrity, professional competence, and judicial temperament.
Still ahead on OU Nightly, a dog beats a world record.
And Brian Briggs joins us again in weather.
Yeah, we have some severe weather on the way for Oklahoma. I'll tell you where and when coming up next. Welcome back to OU Nightly. I hope you're having a great Friday afternoon so far. Taking a live look outside, weather is absolutely beautiful across the area right now. 84 degrees, for our area. So it's a little bit on the warm side, and those winds are pretty gusty as well. Sustained at 19 miles an hour, but you notice the dew point is at 66 degrees, so it is quite humid out there. And that is this is the air mass out ahead of our next system that's approaching its way into Oklahoma, starting already now, and it's going to work its way into our area tonight. So as you can see, there it is up in the northwestern portions of the state. Hasn't done anything yet. You can see there's not really much in the way of cloud cover along this front. This is going to change over the next few hours as the atmosphere becomes a little bit more unstable. So for that, there are some severe thunderstorm watches up to our north in Kansas, but nothing out in the Panhandle yet. I would expect this to change over the next few hours as we're expecting some severe storms in this area tonight. And some of these could get quite severe. So we have an enhanced risk for some of our locations just east of Guyman and just west of Woodward. They're under that enhanced risk, which is a 3 out of 5 on the scale. The storms that initially go up could be really strong with some large hail and damaging winds. You notice that threat does decrease as it does move further east, as the intensity of the storms will decrease. So let's time this out. We'll see storms developing over the next few hours or so in the evening. By 10 p.m., they're really widespread, especially along and behind that cold front. They'll sweep into our area at around midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, knocking on the Oklahoma City doorstep at 12:30 in the morning. And then they'll move through our area later this evening into tonight, and then they'll be gone for our game day tomorrow. So that's good news for those that are wanting to head out to the game. It should be nice and clear. So lows, depending on where you are in relation to that cold front, it's going to be cooler behind it with temperatures in the mid-50s, some mid-60s out ahead of it tonight. And then highs tomorrow will be pretty cool, actually. We'll see, for the exception of Idabel, 80 degrees there, as they haven't really seen much of the way of that cold air quite yet, but definitely a beautiful game day forecast out there if you're planning on heading out for that. So we warm up slightly though towards the end of the weekend and into Monday, but then as you can see, 65 is a high on Tuesday, so definitely a very strong fall-like cold front is expected to make its way into our area towards the beginning of next week, and then we start to warm up again towards next weekend.
Good. I'm definitely looking forward to those cooler temperatures.
Oh,
Thank
me
you,
too.
Brian.
Great, thank you. And a St. Bernard in South Dakota is causing some jaws to drop. Mochi earned the world record for the world's longest tug on a dog. She broke the previous record by nearly 3 inches. Mochi enjoys rolling around in the grass as well as eating her treats, but she needs to be fed in a special way because of her record-breaking tongue.
You know, I'm kind of seeing a mixture of a dog and maybe a frog there, but you know, maybe that's a new breed.
If so, I want one. That's it for this news on Friday night, but don't just leave yet. Big Friday Sports is on deck.
Our sports team gives you an extended look at what's happening in sports. Madeline is here with more.
Thanks, guys. Today on Big Friday Sports, we'll take a look at Big 12 football games happening this weekend. Plus, Kyle Payne and I will give you our keys to a Sooner victory tomorrow. Big Friday Sports is next.
Welcome to Big Friday Sports. I'm Kyle Payne.
And I'm Madeline Roberts. Kyle, after the bye week, are you ready for some OU football again?
It was a long Saturday without the Sooners, and I can't wait to get back into Memorial Stadium tomorrow bright and early.
I can't either. OU quarterback Baker Mayfield is tied for the Big 12 record of consecutive games with at least a touchdown pass with 17. The last time Mayfield failed to throw at least 2 touchdown passes was December 31st, 2015, when the Sooners lost to Clemson in the Orange Bowl. Last year against Iowa State in Ames, he threw for 4 touchdown passes to Mark Andrews, Jeffrey Mead, D.D. Westbrook, and Dimitri Flowers. Mayfield will look to make it 18 straight games and stand alone as the record holder with 2 touchdown passes tomorrow.
They're a very physical team, and so no, we don't need any motivation from the outside, but you know it comes from within. The fact that they've matched up against us physically very well the past couple of years, and I think that's just the type of guys they bring in their program and the coaching they instill. So that's something that you always like competing against. You're going to get their best shot, and I mean we're going to get everybody's best shot, but especially against a team like that, they're going to be physical, and so I think it's a good game for us.
Right now, the Sooners offense is still working to find their feature back, a problem the Sooners are used to having.
Big Friday Sports' Josh Calloway shows us the history of running backs at the University of Oklahoma.
Besides OU taking on the Cyclones this weekend, West Virginia will head to Fort Worth to take on College Game Day host TCU, and Kansas State takes on Texas in Austin.
And last night, another ranked team lost in the college football world. Number 17 Louisville fell to the number 24 ranked NC State Wolfpack. The NC State defense contained reigning Heisman Trophy winner Lamar Jackson, and the Wolfpack quarterback Ryan Finley threw for 367 yards and a touchdown to lead his team to its first 3-0 start since 2002.
And still to come on Big Friday Sports, we give you our keys to a Sooner victory tomorrow against Iowa State.
And Jose Altuve made history last night. Stay with us.
Well, if you're planning on heading out to the game to see Iowa State Iowa State and the Sooners game, it's expected to be very nice. We're having a system that moves through, and it's going to bring our temperatures in the mid-70s, but clouds will be decreasing. But it'll be a nice breeze, northwest winds, so we'll see that cooler air coming in for the game. So back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Brian.
Big Friday Sports' Josh Calloway shows us the history of running backs at the University of Oklahoma.
The University of Oklahoma is no stranger to star running backs. Guys like Adrian Peterson, DeMarco Murray, and Billy Sims have all left their footprint on Sooner history. But this year may be even more impressive, as 4 different backs have all shown their ability to carry the ball and make an impact throughout each and every game, giving the Sooners a high level of versatility in their backfield.
It's important for us now. You get a guy that's hot, you keep feeding the ball, and you see what it does for us. I mean, Abdul in the first half, and I mean, even Marcellus, too, was running it well, and then you put Trey in there in the second half, and you see what can happen when you just give a guy a chance and let him run with it. So I think it's great for us, having a little mix-up here and there. And so I think that we have the explosive guys, and then we have the power runners as well. So we kind of have it all in that room right now.
Abdul Adams and Trey Sermon have definitely been the most impressive of the group, but Coach Lincoln Riley isn't ready just yet to proclaim them the 1 and 2 backs going forward.
Yeah, a little bit week to week there. I think those guys they've performed the best in the game so far. There's no doubt about it. So they'll get first crack at it. But those. We still continue to see bright spots from Marcellus. Same thing with Rodney Anderson. So that's far from being set in stone.
As for the backs themselves, they take pride in their depth and feel the competition forces them all to be better.
Yeah, we do. Each one of us is unique and different and all really good. So we kind of complement each other, just working hard and getting each other better.
Abdul Adams, Trey Sermon, Rodney Anderson, and Marcellus Sutton will all look to continue their success this week against the Iowa State Cyclones' 28th ranked rushing defense. Also worth noting, Dimitri Flowers had 115 yards on the ground last year for the Sooners in Ames against these same Cyclones. So Oklahoma might even have to make room for a 5th back on Saturday. Josh Calloway, Big Friday Sports.
And the Sooners defense took a bit of a beating 2 weeks ago against Zach Smith, letting him throw for nearly 500 yards and 4 touchdowns.
But with some key players in the secondary returning from injury, the Sooners will look to get back on track tomorrow morning. The Sooners defense only allowed 4 touchdowns in the first 3 weeks, so the outburst from Baylor came as a bit of a surprise. Players like Obo and Caleb Kelly have looked strong thus far, and the rest of the defense looks to follow suit against the Cyclones.
My biggest concern was just the fact that I felt like I was letting my team down. I wasn't worried about me getting back to health. I mean, I was just so that I could,
Well, he's still developing as a player. That I think the suspension hurt his development. He's worked hard to pick up where he left off.
Kyle, I think the defense will be the key in tomorrow's game, specifically the defensive line. OU's D-line struggled in the Sooners' battle against the Baylor Bears 2 weeks ago. Players like Neville Gallimore and Kenneth Mann have shown flashes of good pass rush and effectively stopping the run, but not really on a consistent basis. And when the D-line is struggling, it puts more pressure on the secondary to stay in coverage longer. So my key to OU's victory tomorrow is the offensive line. What about your key?
Madeline, my key for the Sooners tomorrow is the play of the offensive line. After the first 3 weeks, there was virtually no doubt OU had the strongest O-line in the country, but against Baylor, the line looked to take a step back, allowing Baker to get sacked twice and hurried multiple times. The line looked back in form in the second half, creating big holes for Trey Sermon's fourth quarter. Iowa State will look to put pressure on Baker early, and if the Sooners want to get on a roll, they have to give Baker some time.
And last night, the reigning NFL champs, the New England Patriots, defeated the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 19-14 in Tampa. Although he threw an interception and lost a fumble, Pats quarterback Tom Brady threw 303 yards and a touchdown to lead his team to victory. But the big story of the game was Nick Folk, the Bucs kicker. He missed 3 field goals from 56, 49, and 31 yards. The 31-yard miss came with just 5:39 left in the fourth quarter and would have made it a one-score game.
And the Astros and the Red Sox kicked off the divisional series last night, and Jose Altuve stole the show. He blasted not 1, not 2, but 3 bombs to lead the Astros past the Sox 8-2. Despite Chris Sale's incredible season, his first postseason start did not go to plan, allowing 7 runs in 5 innings. The second game in the series began at 1 o'clock, and the Astros are currently up 8-1 in the bottom of the 8th.
Thanks for watching Big Friday Sports from the campus of the University of Oklahoma.
We finished tonight with highlights from last year's big game in Ames. But as for other playoff games today, the Yankees and Indians game is happening right now. Later tonight, the Cubs and Nationals face off in Game 1 of the NLDS at 6:31. And finally, the Diamondbacks and the Dodgers go head-to-head tonight at 9:30 in Los Angeles.
Thanks for watching Big Friday Sports from the Gaylord College of Journalism and Mass Communication.
We'll leave you all with a highlight video from last year's win in Ames to get ready for the showdown tomorrow.
Good night.
Used as a red zone target, Mayfield. Looking middle, now flushed. Mayfield will throw. It is caught, and it's a touchdown. And it is Mark Andrews. Defensive coaches, they have confidence in their cover guys. The numbers aren't real pretty for the season. Mayfield throws another fairly dangerous pass on a broken tackle. Inside the 10, a spin move, beautiful.